Hey, welcome back to The Necessary Entrepreneur. On this week's episode, we welcome Dan Oliver, founder of Dan-O's Seasoning. Dan-O's Seasoning was founded in 2017 near Louisville, Kentucky, and has become one of the fastest growing seasoning companies in America with a mission to change the world one table at a time. Aiming to inspire people to cook up a whole lot of fun with the best all-natural, sugar-free, low-sodium seasoning products available in the market. That's a lot to say, must be the best. With over 6.5 million followers across social media platforms and retail offerings in over 30,000 locations, people can't get enough of that yum, yum, get you some. And if you want to hear Dan-O say it, stay to the end because he does. Dan and I shared many things. We talked about high school football days, Gary Vee's influence on him to make video content, how starting a business is simple but not easy, how profound is that? The best investment is people who don't have a backup plan when investing in businesses. It takes a successful team to be successful. What do you know? Having an authenticity in your product, and Dan's best social media advice. Hey, thanks for tuning in this week. Be sure to give us a like, a share, and slam that subscribe button. I hope you love the Dan story as much as we do. Thanks again for tuning in.
The season's here. Holiday seasons, right? So thanks for coming on The Necessary Entrepreneur, because we're going to talk about all things seasoning. We might talk about some high school football. We might talk about more golf. But I'm interested in learning about this path. So Dan Oliver, Dan-O's Seasoning, welcome, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I love telling the story, so I'm happy to be here.
I think we could sit here and listen to this Louisville accent all day long, right?
Yeah.
Do I sound like I have one, an accent? Because you have one.
Not so much.
I don't think so. I'm sure people from the Northeast think so. But it's
Right.
funny that you can be an hour and a half down the road,
right?
And that changes how we sound so much. So
Well, I know I got 3 stepsisters from Cincinnati, and they kind of have like the Cincinnati, Ohio.
what's that?
accent.
What's that? What's the because
It's like Ohio. The O's are everything. They're like drawn out. Ohio.
so is that how they say Dan-O's?
Well, I don't know. I guess I don't get to hang out with them enough. I need next time I see them, I'm gonna be like, say Dano.
So thanks for coming up today. It's funny. Fall's my favorite time. I don't know about yours, but I love the fall, man.
It's awesome.
Yeah. That brisk weekend was really nice this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And so this journey, 2015, I'm interested to hear what you think being an entrepreneur is in 2023. But that's started 8 years ago.
Yeah.
In 2015.
Yeah.
And as I pulled up your social, you do a great job on social media. And before we stopped in here, Dave sends me all the links. I do research. I'm scrolling through. I'm like, this is a guy that goes to no matter if you go to, it looked like it was in a convention hall and you had your booth set up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, he's got camouflage Crocs,
Mm-hmm.
khaki shorts that are like a gray color, and an untucked button-up shirt or a polo or something. I was like, this guy's going to be awesome to talk to. So in 2015, what the heck, man?
Well, I was a bartender at the time, and I always, ever since I was a kid, I knew I wanted to do something big and start my own business. And I was not the honor student. Let's just say, barely graduated high school, went to college, dropped out of college because I wanted to come back and chase business. I wanted to get in the insurance business. Well, that didn't work out. I just didn't like it, and then I found myself bartending. And so I had this recipe that I used for like 15 years on chicken. And I'm here bartending. The first 3 years I was bartending, I loved it. But then the last 2 years I was miserable doing it. I was like, I can't do this the rest of my life. I need to figure out, like, what am I going to do? So I always had all these ideas, businesses to start. But all my ideas took a lot of money. These big, crazy ideas. I actually spent some money on one, a disposable toothbrush, and spent like $2,000 on market analysis, hired a little group of people, and then it was like, no, that's not it. Great idea, but that's not it. And so I had this recipe in my back pocket. Never thought to call it Dan-O's, never thought for a second to sell it. Growing up, I always used to love to cook. My family used to say, hey, you should be a chef, and I'm like, I don't want to live that life. And so here I am bartending for the last 2 years, And I'm just miserable, just always wheels spinning. How am I going to get out of here? And I brought in the chicken that I would make. Like, I would bring it in from time to time. People would be like, how'd you make that? What's in that mix? And then I remember I texted a girl one time. I'm like, this is what you do. Mix it like this and grab these ingredients. And so still never thought to package it, right? Until one day I brought in this chicken, gave it to a guy. It was 5 o'clock on a Monday. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was January 2015. And I was like, man, are you hungry? I just brought in this chicken that I make. And he's like, yeah, I'll take some. So I give him this chicken. He took one bite, and I remember him just kind of looking down and his head shaking, and he looked up, and he's like, man, it's the best chicken I ever had. He's like, why aren't you selling this? And I was like, Dano's. I was like, that's it. This, all these years of me like thinking like this business and like, I know I'm going to figure something out. It's going to happen, right? It happened right there. It was like Dano's. I was like, I can see it all over the country. And here's the coolest thing about the success now is that when Dano's started, it was because of the flavor. I knew that it was different. The name hit me like a ton of bricks, right? I went by Danny Oliver was my name for 32 years of my life. And then when this happened, I'm like, well, got to change my name because it's Dano's. And so I started the business because of the flavor. I knew it was different. I knew it had a great name. I knew it was because of the flavor that I was like, oh, I can see this all over the country. Like, nobody's ever had anything like this. And then so as I got into developing this recipe and, now I had to go weigh things out, take measurements and all this and figure out how am I going to package this and start reading FDA compliance and figuring out how to package it. I have a whole family of entrepreneurs, but nobody knows anything about CPG, consumer packaged goods. So I literally had to figure this all out myself by asking Google and YouTube. That's how I learned how to do it. And so when I got into packaging the product, I realized it was low sodium. And then I realized no sugar. And I'm like, wow. And I'm going to the stores and I'm like, why are all these other products just have all this junk in there? I'm like, why is nobody, like, am I doing something wrong here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is this like meant to be? I'm like, so this is healthy. This can actually change people's lives. So after I made my first package and got it on some shelves, shortly thereafter, like just in a matter of a month, I was like, okay, I need to change this. I need to get it to like a $5 price point. I need to change, make it low sodium, no sugar, no chemicals, and like really make my marketing like targeted towards this group of people. But not only is it the healthy people, but it's people just like flavor. It's just my seasoning's made different. So the product, the flavor was one. Then when I figured out it was healthy and could actually change people's lives, your high blood pressure, your diabetics, it became something more. And then the third part was the first flea market that I did. Not flea market, but the first big state fair that I did. And I remember this little old lady coming up trying to sample. And she was like, this is damn good. And I'm like, yeah, and there's no sugar, and this is all the salt in the bottle. You get 2 for $10. And she's like, no, honey. And she's like pointing at the sign behind me. And she's like, damn good. And I'm like, my mind, it was like my third aha or my second aha moment. It was like, oh my gosh, Dan good, Dano-Mite, Dantastic. You don't know till you Dano. You know what I mean? Like, it just, everything happens for a reason. And so, like, that was in 2017. And I'm like, I had to struggle for 3 years with it until my big break was when COVID hit in 2020. But I went to every weekend I was somewhere in a different city putting Dano's on a toothpick, selling my product. And I was always really good and really successful at it, but you can only sell so much at a flea market. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it was kind of like I was robbing Peter to pay Paul just to get by, just to pay the next bill, just to get the next batch of product, to get to the next show. For 3 years, it was a grind. Robbing Peter to pay Paul is what I say. And 2020 hit, COVID comes. And I'm like, okay, I can't do those anymore. So how am I going to survive? And I went to social media, just started taking off like a rocket. And I made the right investment. I made the right partnership with Phil Crosby. He owned a marketing company. He had like 16 people working for him. He's like, we're going to take this, turn them all into Dano's. And like, this is what we're going to do. This is our marketing plan. We're going to take 20% of revenue, put it back into the business, and let's just grow this thing. Because my agreement with him was, let's change the world. Like, that was the whole thing. Like, going back to how I said, like, I always wanted to do something big. I wanted to change the world. And like, here it is. Everything, I never gave up. There's plenty of times I could have given up, where I was in debt, and I was like, I gotta go do this one show and get out of debt and make my next order, just because I know that everything's too good. The flavor, the name, the branding, the changing lives, like everything's about it is too good to give up on. So I never gave up, and I kept pushing through, made the right partnership in 2020. Then we brought in the right investors. Here we are today.
How'd you know it was too good to give up?
Just because when you try it, you'll know. You don't know till you know, right? Like, seriously, there's nothing like it. Like when you actually like try a piece of chicken and you're just like, wow, like that really, I get it now. Like a lot of people, they don't get it until they try it, and then they're like, I get it now.
You mean they don't
Like
get it from this awesome logo? That doesn't tell them?
Well,
You know what that reminded me of when I pulled it up and I went, man, this is like as a kid, and I'm turning on the TV, and Andy Griffith pops on. Right? With Opie walking down the street.
yeah.
With it over his dad walking next to him. I was like, man, this is some homegrown,
Yeah.
local feeling stuff with the fish. So where does that logo come from?
Well, I was a bartender, right? And so one of the first, I knew right away, like when I had my aha moment, that it was called Dano's. There was never any question about that. So then for months, I'm sitting here, I need a logo. What's Dano's? And I remember waking up at like 2 or 3 in the morning, and it was just like hit me like a ton of bricks. It was like little Huckleberry Finn character carrying a fishing pole, walking through the state of Kentucky. Maybe he's chasing some chickens or something. You know what I mean? So the original drawing, this isn't the original. The original drawing, in his other arm, he's actually got a chicken underneath it, and he's got some eggs like falling out of his back pocket.
I think they cleaned it up a little bit for you.
Yeah, we cleaned it up a little bit.
Did you see that, or did the so-called experts see it?
No, I saw
did.
it. It was actually my alteration, I
Okay.
guess. Like the original packaging, I mean, even from back 2017 to 2020, had the little chicken in the arm.
Yeah.
And then when we made the partnership and did our repackaging, it's like, let's drop the chicken, simplify it. He had baggier pants. Now he cleaned him up a little bit.
Rolled them up like he's
Yeah.
hanging out in the creek or something.
Well, he always had that, but they were just like, it was baggier looking. So let's get back to the drawing, though. So I was a bartender, and this is funny because when I had the idea that was going to be my logo, at first it was like there was a lot involved. It was the state of Kentucky. There was little farm animals, and little Danny like walking through the state, like almost like he was herding the animals. And but he had the stick, it just had a hook on it. Mike's idea was to put a fish on it. And so I paid the guy in the kitchen $100 to draw it. And I remember it was like a Saturday night at 5 o'clock in the morning, because in Louisville, the bars stay up until 4. So after everybody got kicked out, I gave the guy $100 for this drawing. And all my bartender friends were like, "You just gave him $100 for this drawing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's my logo." They're like, "Okay, dude, whatever." I'm like, "Okay. We'll see."
$100.
Yeah, $100.
Wow. So the 2 aha moments you've had have been with other random people. The first one was the guy who ate the chicken.
Yeah.
Right? You brought
Yeah.
it in. He's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I'll have something to eat," right?
Yeah.
And then the lady at the flea market.
Yeah.
Have they been sent on like vacations to Fiji or something?
They didn't do the work.
I know, man,
They
but
didn't do
damn
the
it, they
work.
helped a little bit, huh?
What's crazy to think is with the lady at the flea market, like, how did I think I'm a pretty creative guy, and I got a lot of ideas. Like, how did it take me that long to like figure out the Dan Good and Dan O'Mite? You know what I mean?
I think there's these serendipitous moments
Yeah.
that happen. Why'd you want to change the world?
So there's always been something in me that I have older brothers. I got 2 older brothers, 6 years and 9 years older, 2 older stepbrothers. My parents got divorced when I was like 4, and then by the time I was 5, they were both remarried. And and then I got 3 stepsisters. So I always had a bunch of older siblings, right? Everything was always a competition. But I always had something in the back of my head telling me I was going to do something really big. You know what I mean? Everything was always a competition. I was always trying to win. But there was always this feeling that I was going to do something big. Well, my dad told me just like a few years ago, my dad's a very successful financial planner. And well, he wasn't always very successful. He used to be an optometrist, used to build eyeglasses way back in the day. And when I was born, is basically, I guess,
Early 80s.
yeah, 81. And he told me that he used to pick me up when I was an infant. There's no understanding English, right? He said this was when he was starting his business in insurance, like life insurance. He said he just used to hold me and look at me and talk to me and tell me like about his life. Like, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to work hard and everybody's doubting me, but I'm not going to listen to them. And if you work hard and chase your dreams, you can do anything. Like he said, he used to just pick me up and talk to me. And he knew I couldn't understand anything, but I would just stare at him. And he's like, somehow I think all that sunk in, because why did it have my whole life have I had this feeling of like doing something big? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's got to be a part of it.
But then you still had to do the work.
Boy, you always got to do the work.
Well, there's a lot of people who just have the idea.
Right.
I come across those people a lot. They think they're the idea people.
Right.
Everybody's got ideas.
Right.
I think in these, wherever somebody's quiet moment is, some is fishing, some might be playing a musical instrument, some might be randomly in the shower all the time. Whatever their thing is, they have this place where they have ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I find throughout life in my 44 years is most people don't act on them. You did.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
I was waiting for the right opportunity.
Yeah, that's funny. But you still made the seasoning. You still mixed it. You still took the chicken to work.
Yeah.
Right? So these things are in your head.
Yeah.
So what kept you going with this belief without knowing that 2023 you're on this path?
I guess I just saw the vision. You know, it was like 2014, 15 is I met a girl and she introduced me to The Secret. A lot of people know about The Secret. It's about manifestation and visualize what you want. And, you know, I was making vision boards and stuff, which I never knew what a vision board was. Mm-hmm. And so, like, she kind of instilled this, like, you're going to change your life. You're going to get out of this shitty bar and you're going to change your life and you're going to do something special. And so things just kind of like people come into your life for a reason. You know what I mean? And so, and I always had this feeling of doing something big. Mm-hmm. And I had like $8,000 saved up. And, you know, like I said, I'd always loved to cook. It was always kind of my thing, but I didn't want to be a chef. I didn't want to live that life, like working every holiday and being stuck in a kitchen.
So that's the thing you really like to do. You like to cook.
Loved it.
Okay.
I'm passionate. My love language is cooking for people. Mm. So when you see my videos that I get to make, like, that's not work to me. Mm. That's me sharing my passion. Mm-hmm. And I'm getting to show people hey, you want something, and here's how you do it.
There's a lot of work that has to go into it, though, to give that. I mean, I'm sure when you go back to you had the vision, you're going to change the world. You have all these ideas, these things are happening, but no one could have prepared you for the path, though, right? Of all the work, of all the things.
Oh man, I mean, it's a lot of work.
A lot.
I know one of the biggest one of the biggest entrepreneurs in the state of Kentucky, the guy that owns Alani Nu and Prime Energy drinks. Mm-hmm. And I remember the first time I met him, he said something, and it was so simple but made so much truth. And he said, you know, starting a business is really not that difficult. It seems very overwhelming in the beginning when you have all these things laid out ahead of you that you know you have to do all this. But when you start just doing one thing at a time and just knocking them out, then all of a sudden you got a business and now figure out how to get people to buy it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's not that hard. Learn how to be resourceful and learn how to make sacrifices. Because it is hard. When I say it's not that hard, I'm saying it's not that hard to actually start the business. Mm-hmm. The hard part is getting people to buy the product and running the business.
Yeah. But I tell people often in the different businesses I'm involved in, I'm like, guys, it's simple but not easy. Mm-hmm. The idea of a business and what you just talked about, it's simple. You can create a half-a-page business plan and go execute. It's not going to turn out the way that business plan says.
Right.
There's going to be so many iterations of it, right? So it's simple. The idea is simple, but it is not easy to execute.
Correct.
It's not easy.
Right.
And I think maybe that I just had a class last week with 30 or 40 people, and I said, you guys have to make sure that the commitment and the decision is already made when you come to the crossroads. Because if you wait until the time you come to the crossroads and you're going to leave it up to how you feel, you're going to make some bad decisions and you're going to give up on the ideas, the commitments, and the hopes and the dreams of your life. You have to make the decision somewhere in the past, like, whatever this is going to be, I'm all in.
All in.
Let's
You got to be all in.
Right.
But my first investor was Phil Crosby. He was the one that owned the marketing company, and it was more like, hey, I'm giving you this, I'm not giving you money. I'm giving you all these resources, and I'm putting a value on it, and we're partnering up. My first investor that came to us when we needed actual cash was Eric Wood, the center for the Buffalo Bills. And he told me, that he learned from, he had heard Kobe Bryant and some other people say before that the best entrepreneurs to invest in are the ones that have no plan B. There's no, they're not, I wasn't somebody that had a bunch of money and I had 3 businesses going. I'm like, hey, you should invest in this one. It was Danos or bust. You know what I mean? It's all Danos. That's all I am. Like, if it's not Danos,
There's a couple times we've walked out of here and I've talked to the team. We have all these private conversations afterwards, evaluating things, the job we've done, do we need to make improvements? But also we talk about the guest every time in a way that the significance we think they're going to – and every once in a while I'll look at them like, guys, they're screwed. And I think – and obviously I wouldn't say anybody's name, but I say that and I'm like, they've got a backup plan.
right.
They've got family. They've got people to bail them out if it doesn't work. They need to remove the if because it won't work. There's going to be multiple times where it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so hard, mentally, emotionally draining. And you don't have people around you believing in you for the first, the first 95% of the journey.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
When it's really happening, they're
It's
like,
all it's all naysayers.
yeah, they're like, man, I knew you were going to do this, man. You were meant to be, right?
Right.
But when I hear that, if that is in people's mind, if the manifestation and the secret in the book, if that's real, then it means the way we talk to ourselves, that's real, right? It means that vision boards help you accomplish those things. So it means the way you're talking to yourself, if you're giving yourself an out, if you're like, if it doesn't go well, I know what path they're going to take. Because there's so many people that have the mindset that you have that still end up giving up because it's freaking hard.
Yeah.
So do you ever think about your mortality? I started when I was like 40. I'm 44 now.
Yeah.
Is that that you do? Do you
Yeah.
ever think, okay,
Yeah.
when it's all over, whenever it is, do you think the cost that you're paying on this entrepreneurial journey, is it going to be worth the price?
Absolutely. I know that 200 years down the road, Danos is still going to exist. People are still going to be sprinkling my product.
The alien's going to be giving it to us?
Yeah, somebody. Yeah. Danos is going to be there. I promise you, it's not going anywhere. It's too good.
So there's you got new flavors, man. Like, is that the challenge now? Like, what's next? What's better? Because you're in 13,000 companies, places distributed, but 30,000 locations, right?
Yeah, I think it's actually like 36 or 37,000.
So tomorrow it'll probably be 43,000. This thing's growing, baby.
It's growing. We did just go into H-E-B, Albertsons, and Safeways. So it's almost like now I can't even tell you who we're not in.
See, that's the stuff. You got to pinch yourself in those moments.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, you couldn't have. The vision wasn't that. You can have whatever you want to on your vision board. It's not that. When it happens, you're like, oh, I saw it. It's like, hold on, though. You didn't really see this.
I don't know.
Did you see that?
People tell me, people always ask me, they're like, you couldn't imagine being this big. And I'm like, to be honest with you, I don't think I'd be here if I didn't see it like that.
Okay.
Like, that was my vision from the get-go, was Danos. Like,
Why wouldn't you? You don't think with 50% of the vision, why wouldn't you be here if you didn't have that? Like, you had Kroger's and Publix and Albertsons, like that was in your mind. I'm not saying it wasn't. You saw the brands. You walked through the aisles and you're like, I'm going to be here.
I want to be everywhere. I mean, that was the way I saw it. It's not successful till it's everywhere.
So that's an awesome mindset.
Yeah.
Even for people who become successful, don't have it that hardened. So kudos. That's probably why it's happening so quick. Right.
And our social media reach and being number one on Amazon. That's the big thing, because there's the firepower. You know, I have one of the best salesmen you'll ever meet in your life. And here's what it comes down to to be successful, you got to have a successful team, and you got to have a team that believes in what you believe in. Everybody believes in what I believe in. We are all on the same team that Dano's is number one. We may not be yet, but it's just a matter of time. And, we're in all these stores, but it may only just be the original. Now the next step is, how do we get them to carry all of them? Well, only time will tell. Once we got the original in there and it's flying off the shelf, well, then they're like, well, we'll take whatever you give us because we know it's going to sell.
Market wins, right?
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
it. Market wins.
Absolutely.
So you said you have a great salesperson.
Yeah, Tyler Watson.
Why is Tyler great?
Man, he started working with me in 2018. He left his job where he was, and he came to work for me for like $600 a week. And he's like, we're going to take this thing to the next level. He saw my vision from the get-go, and we're going to take this thing to the next level. And he gave it a good 3 months, and then it was kind of more the reality of, you don't just get into these stores. He needs to take care of his family. He had 2 kids. He had to have insurance. I couldn't give him that. He was a 1099, $600 a week. Can't live long off that, right? And so he's like, man, it just keep doing what you're doing. So like, I just kept grinding. Like, we stayed friends. I kept grinding. He went out, got him a good job, and then when everything got to the point to where we needed to bring in a salesman, I told my partner, I said, I got a guy. And so we brought him in, and he jumped back on the team. And, dude, he believes in what I believe in 100%, maybe even more than I do sometimes. And, if I'm ever down, he picks me up, and he's the guy, dude. He knows how to talk to people. He's got an 8th grade education. He had a kid when he was 16 years old, so he got to work. He's 15 or 16 years old, not going to high school. He's working.
Shovels and mowers and rakes and right.
Just he knows how to talk to people. He knows how to get the job done. His on Tyler Watson on LinkedIn, it's from his quote is from dishwasher to disruptor. It's pretty cool.
Do you think that's what you guys are doing? Are you disrupting? Absolutely.
Disrupting the seasoning market.
How you feel about that? Feels good, doesn't it?
It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean it is. And it's absolutely. And here's another thing. I know for a fact that McCormick appreciates it because we're bringing attention to the category.
See,
that's what we're doing.
There's the mindset. Like I'm going to drag you. This is going to be great, man. So I'll keep an eye on it so we can get you to your tea time today. But I'm pumped because, man, there's a difference in life. Like we have fixed mindset and growth mindset, but there's also something where out in the marketplace where so many people, you either have an idea about this, you're either a scarcity person or you think the world's big and broad and there's a bunch for everybody. And so those guys that come on Rogan's podcast, I listen to that at times, they talk about what's happened with the comedy scene, with what he did with Austin. And there was a guy on last night, I forget his name, but he has an English accent, very, very popular. But what the guy gave him credit, and he said, hey, man, what's cool about being a comedian is that when one comedian does great and they actually achieve getting on a big stage in a 20,000-seat arena, what that does is you didn't just – so in the movies, if somebody lands a role, only one actor got the role, and everybody's like competing for these other roles. But he said what happens in comedy is when one person, one guy or gal, gets to a place where 20,000 people will come see him in an arena, it's opening up a type of business that those same people want to see more. And so then it pulls other comedians up where now 20,000-seat arenas are available. Right? So that's what it's doing, and it's good to be in a business where you're like, hey, man, I know they appreciate me because the more people that buy this that think, let me season my chicken versus just the blackened stuff I put on a grill, they might go to the aisle and going to buy yours, maybe they buy that too. Right? And then maybe so it's bringing more spotlight to the category.
Absolutely.
Right.
100%. We've got the actual data that proves it, that the seasoning category is up, millions of dollars. And but like I know Lowe's in general, Lowe's has a really small seasoning section
by the
grills now. And we're on there, and we've made several viral videos telling everybody it's at Lowe's. Well, I know their buyer told Tyler that like the whole category is up like $4 or $5 million
because of your social media.
Well, I'm not going to take all the credit, but I don't see any of the other products that are out there making viral videos sending people into the store. You know what I mean?
How are you going to make sure that you don't become that big company that loses track that somebody cares about those things? Because your social media, you guys and your team, your mind's on that.
Yeah.
These big companies, there's huge marketing departments.
Yeah.
They aren't about this viral, boots on the ground, organic stuff.
Right.
As you grow,
Right.
are you thinking about that?
I mean, it's our culture. We try and keep the whole company like that's just the way we think. I mean, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the social media. We wouldn't. That's just the bottom line fact. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the social media. It wasn't that I started with a bunch of money. It wasn't that I was some brilliant marketing brains. It was because I was a real person and I wasn't afraid to get in front of people. And I showed, I would tell people my story. I would tell them, hey, look, I got into the store. Heck, I don't know if you've seen my videos where I tell people how to start a business. You want to start a business in the CPG? This is exactly how you do it. Now, how many people are going to go out there and do it? Well, hopefully one day somebody will come to me and they'll be like, man, I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for me watching your video that taught me how to start a business. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Is that also as important as the wrestling sponsorships?
Yes. That's pretty cool, huh?
I saw it. I was like, this dude's wild, man.
Yeah. Netflix was there and I was there. We have video of it that we made because I was there and I was like ringside and I was like one of the wrestlers, what do you call it? Their manager.
Yeah.
Their manager. So like I came out with them and like they had everything play out the way they wanted and the guy ended up sprinkling Danos on the other guy. And I was like, how did that not make the cut? They didn't have the cameras rolling when we came out there. It was unfortunate because that would have been awesome on Wrestlers.
So I'm going to push back a little bit on you when you said I'm not like whatever your term was about a marketer. I'm not a brilliant or amazing marketer.
I know how to do it my own way.
There you go.
I know how to connect with people, right?
So a guy named Gary V, you probably know the guy's name.
Yeah.
Gary Vaynerchuk, right?
Yeah.
He has his Gary V experience.
That's a big part of my story, too. I didn't tell you that part.
Well, let's hear it in a second.
Sure.
So if we sat down, I'm really good friends with the guy who's been in his studio, had a podcast with him.
Mm-hmm.
One of these guys I'm buddies with in Dallas. And if we sat and talked to Gary Vee about his story, wine library, and working at his dad's liquor store and all that, I think what makes him so special is he just understands people in the marketplace.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's what he does. And
Yeah.
then he makes every decision and every move based upon that.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't have a marketing degree. Right? He's not this marketing whatever avenue in New York City. He's not that guru, but he's plugged in to the average human and what's happening.
Right.
Right? And so that's how he executes social so damn well.
Yeah.
So I dare to say that you don't understand.
I guess what I was saying is I'm not the educated marketer. Like I didn't go to class for it.
Yeah.
I just learned. I'm an observer.
Yeah.
Is what I am. I listen a lot. I listen to people. I listen to Gary Vee, and like I'm always observing people.
I don't think Mark Zuckerberg finished his degree. I don't think Bill Gates finished his degree. I don't think Steve Jobs finished his degree. I don't think Elon Musk finished a degree.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that if those guys would sit down and say they weren't an expert at the thing they're doing, the world laughs. So I think the world is about to laugh in a good way at Dano
Yeah.
that you try to say you're not a elite marketer. So anyway, tell us
things happen for a reason, right? The whole that's what my dad said a couple years ago. He's like, your mom wanted to name you David. He's like, it's a good thing I stuck up for Daniel because it just wouldn't work any other way.
So what about this Gary Vee part of your story?
So talking about not having a plan B. Well, when COVID hit, my plan B was social media. It was never the plan B that was strategized out. It's just that's what I had to do to survive. Well, I was watching and listening to Gary Vee at the time, and he's like, this TikTok app, he's like, if you're a brand right now and you're not on TikTok, you're missing the boat. He's like, there's got so many, people downloading this app every day, and you can just blow up. And he's like, if you're not on there, well, I'm not sorry if you don't succeed because I'm telling you right now, you need to be on TikTok. And so when my plan B started, I got back to Louisville after a show canceled in Michigan, March 8th. When I got back to Louisville, it was like TikTok. I had 24,000 followers at the time when COVID hit. And I think 12,000 of them were on TikTok or on Facebook. So I had always made some videos and whatnot, but it wasn't what I was relying on. I knew I could always rely on just going out and putting it on a toothpick and selling it face to face. So I had a little bit of a following, but it wasn't much. I mean, I was doing $100 a day on average, probably online. And I was like, to survive this, I need to do $200 a day. Well, a week later into making TikToks, all of a sudden I caught my first viral video by, listening to Gary Vee. He's like, just, 2-3 videos a day. Just keep pumping them out. Keep pumping them out. Well, then I finally, it's funny, the first viral video that I got on TikTok, I wasn't even going to shoot it. I was kind of discouraged a little bit. And it was like, I don't know, 10, 12 o'clock at night. And I was like, you know what? I'll just film this one-handed. So here I am filming it one and cooking with the other. And I was like, I'm going to make some dang good crab cakes. Making crab cakes, crab out of a can, right? So I didn't use Old Bay, and I cooked them in a pan. So all of a sudden, that's not how you cook crab cakes. Where's the Old Bay? What's this Dan-O stuff? This is trash. Everybody in Maryland hates you. And so all the comments were like 80% negative. And I just remember going in, and it was probably like 400,000 or 500,000 views. There's, 20,000 comments. And I just remember going in there and you don't know T Dano, you don't know T Dano, you don't know T Dano, you don't know T Dano. I spent hours just texting that to everybody. And I probably did like $1,000, $1,200 in sales that night. And then I just kept making the videos. Never went back. Like I never went to like $1,000 in sales and then retracted. It just kept going up, 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 up. And my videos just kept going, getting more views. And the next video I would make would go viral again. And, every third video would go viral. And I started telling my story and be like, I started as a bartender and connecting with the people and telling them, hey, this is all the salt in my bottle. This is healthy. Not only does it taste good, but it's healthy. And then after a week or two, all these people that were getting the product, these 80% of negative comments started to turn 80% of positive, and I started creating fans, Dan-O's Fanos, and ambassadors, like people just like going to bat for me, like, oh, I tried it and it really is damn good. Like, listen to him, you should try it. So then, it just never went back. It just kept going up, up, up. And that shortly thereafter is when I made the partnership with the marketing company. And we just kept putting fuel on the fire, and then we started hiring influencers and paying people to make videos using our product. And then we, started to build our case for taking this to Walmarts and Kroger's of the world.
So you've been to Bentonville?
I have not. Tyler
has.
Yeah, Tyler has.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when is the houseboat on Cumberland going to arrive?
When you buying it?
Well, I figured I'd come for a ride because it seems like you're on a better rocket ship than I am.
Well,
man.
they rent them, right?
They do.
Maybe we'll just have to rent one and see if we like it.
But, I mean, we want Dan-O's everywhere, so the Dan-O's, it needs to be down there. You don't think people are grilling some steaks and chickens and stuff when they're down there having fun on Cumberland for the boat days?
Yeah, my brother, he actually bought a houseboat last year, and he's on Dale Hollow.
Is he?
So I don't need to buy one. I just go on his.
So you had a successful family of entrepreneurs, you said in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Did part of this, I'm going to change the world thing coming from being around them, it starts with your dad looking at you. That's the next TikTok.
Yeah.
When are you going to reproduce that?
I don't know, but I think, that's a big thing that I'd like to tell to mothers and fathers is maybe you should start talking to your kids, even if you don't think they understand what you're saying. Maybe they do, let that stuff sink in.
There's something, I'm going to walk away today and learn a lot from this, but there's something in these Kentucky waters. There's entrepreneurs everywhere, but there's something in these Kentucky waters, and I call it culture. Your dad's, there's something inside of him. Maybe nobody else believed in him, and so he had to talk to his son.
Yeah.
Maybe that was for him too.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Maybe that was his mirror.
I believe it.
Yeah. But you being around these entrepreneurs, you learned some things by default.
Mm-hmm.
You saw behaviors, ways that people acted, not just in their business life, but their personal life too.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a normal childhood or no? Like, was it normal? Was it?
The parents were divorced, so I was always going back and forth But for the most part, stayed with my mom. Went to my dad's every other weekend. It was always a decent relationship between them. It was never like a fight or anything. I was neither of my parents really drank much at all. So like I was never around like a bunch of alcohol or any drug use or anything like that. So I'd say I was fortunate enough to have a pretty good upbringing to where I wasn't around stuff like that.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I didn't go venture off myself, but
You got some wild in those eyes. There's some wild in there. So we talked a little bit in the beginning about high school football days and growing up and stuff. So we talked about you went to when I was growing up in the 90s and graduated high school locally in 97, we even knew the name Trinity in Louisville. It was a big sports and athletic school.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some smart
Football.
kids. Yeah, football, big time.
Football.
I'm sure there's some smart kids coming out of there. But you were on this path to journey to become because you just have the football player look.
Yeah.
Now I know your investor plays for the Bills. I know, and I know you said you're number 2. I don't know what your number 1 is, but I wasn't pumped about that, man. When I looked at your social media, I'm like, we brought a Buffalo Bills fan in here, Dave. Come on, man. What the hell are we doing? But
Bengals is my number 1.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Finally had a little comeback yesterday. That one felt good.
Yeah.
Seeing old Joe, it's like there he is.
Yeah. Yesterday, it was good to see.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But tell us this journey and this story. I haven't heard it yet, but you had this hope and this dream.
Yeah, so this is pretty cool. So I was always one of the best athletes on the field in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, going into freshman year at Trinity. I was 6'1", 180. So I was a big kid. I was fast. I ran a 40 on like 4.8 or 4.9, whatever it was. And so I always wanted to be the quarterback. Well, they had the quarterback picked out. I wasn't the coach's son, or I wasn't in line for that, right? Nobody knew who I was because I came from St. Margaret Mary. All the St. Margaret Mary kids went to St. X. So actually freshman year, I played both ways. I was the only kid on the whole freshman. They had 70 players on the freshman squad. I was the only kid out there that played both ways. I played tight end and safety, but they told me I wasn't fast enough to play quarterback. Well, they ran a veer anyways, right? So anyways, go into our sophomore year, and then I played JV, and I started over 2 juniors as a sophomore, and then go to senior year, and then they moved me to defensive tackle, and then all of a sudden I was 3rd string behind like sophomores. They were way bigger than me, and I was still only 180 pounds, and these guys are like 230. And it's like, all right, I don't think they like me much. I may have been a little bit of a troublemaker outside of the football. So not necessarily a troublemaker, but I wasn't the...
You're not doing it the system way.
I'm not doing it the system way. That's a good way to put it. Mm-hmm. So anyways, I ended up quitting, and I had a chip on my shoulder. Almost got kicked out of Trinity. And but I when push came to shove, I knew I had to walk a straight line to graduate Trinity, and I wanted to graduate Trinity because I knew what it could do for me in my life to come, right? Because I still always had this mindset, I'm going to do something big. I need to graduate from here and have it on my resume. So let's just flash forward to 2015, right? I carried a chip on my shoulder about this, not ever having a chance to do my quarterback thing. I mean, I used to be able to throw a football 60 yards on a dime. I could run out, jump in the air, and throw it 50 yards. And so I always was like, man, I missed my shot. Always upset about it. Like, I'm like the uncle in Napoleon Dynamite. Like, you see that mountain over there? I back throw football. I was that guy. And so I carried a chip on my shoulder about this forever. And this is a cool story right here. This is when I was engaged with The Secret and thinking bigger, positive mindset, manifesting. So when this idea of Dano's hit me in 2015, I went home, got Post-it notes, and probably wrote on 30 or 40 of them, I'm QB, and posted them everywhere throughout my house. In my kitchen, in front of my toilet, in my shower, everywhere that you could possibly look in a day, I was seeing these notes that said, I'm QB, because nobody can take that from me. I'm creating my own quarterback position, right? Nobody can take it from me. It's not up to somebody else. It's up to me. So that was like my motivation when my aha moment happened, and I visualized Dano's, manifested it being all over the country. I put that out there to the world. And everywhere I went in my house, I saw I'm QB. And it's funny, like about a year ago, I was in the basement, unfinished basement, and I saw one sticking to the wall. And I'm like, that's cool.
So you learned a lot from quitting.
Yeah.
I don't think you probably didn't want that feeling again.
No, I didn't. There was a lot of regret. You know what I mean? One of the biggest things that, I've seen in my entrepreneur journey, watching other people's stories and whatnot, and, Gary Vee talks about is like, you don't want to live with regret. And I lived with regret for a long time, especially like senior year, because a new coach came in and they're like, oh, it's a new coach. Now you come out here and it's a clean slate. You can come be a quarterback. And I was like, I'm already burnt on it. Like, I'm done. I quit. I gave up. I didn't want it. Right?
You've still got that chip.
Yeah.
But it's almost for you.
Yeah.
The chip's almost for you now, it feels like. Because when I look at you, and there's an intensity and a fire inside that you're just going to – I think you're probably a guy. I bet – and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm making some assumptions here, but I bet if you're in your inner circle, you're more loyal and more committed to those people than most people could even probably fathom. I bet. You got your people.
Yeah. You'd be 100% right.
But everyone else, get out of the way.
No. Well, I don't know. I think I'm a pretty
I'm coming.
kind, loving person.
You think so?
Yeah.
There's a fire in these eyes, though, man.
Well, I'm just a competitor. I always want to win. I'm a competitor. Like I'll bet you on anything. If somebody's over there throwing darts or rolling bocce ball, I'm ready to get in there and start gambling and playing with you.
And then what happens when you lose?
I always pay my debt.
But then what happens when you lose that game of bocce ball? What happens?
Double or nothing.
You want to play again?
Yeah, double or nothing.
It's in there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. And you want to keep playing until you win.
Yeah.
Les Brown, one of the big self-help gurus out there, right? One of the best of all time, talks about when he was growing up around his son, they were playing like Battleship or something, and he was worn out, and they had played 8 or 9 games, and he beat his son every time, and his son wouldn't quit, and he's like, I'm going to bed, I'm done. He's like, no, I want to, and Dad's like, what are you talking about? He's like, I want to play until I win. And it's like, see, there's things that these parents are teaching others.
Yeah.
Right? If that thing's in there, man, that'll show up when you're 40.
Yeah.
When you're 41, when you're 42.
Yeah. That was me. I remember I grew up with a pool table at my dad's house. And I wouldn't go to bed until I made I would rack 6 balls or something. And I'd be like, I'm not going to bed till I make all 6. And I would stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning until I did it.
Does that make, as highly as competitive as you are, does it make you misunderstood at times? Around people, are you misunderstood?
Yeah, maybe a little. Yeah.
Because there's intensity to win.
Yes.
And it's not about anybody else. It's about you. It's about this desire and this commitment that you want to win.
I want to win.
Yeah. And that's not, most people don't understand. They don't. They do not understand that mentality. Yeah, they see this and they see all the success, but it's like, guys, that's his approach to life. You can't turn it off.
Right.
It's always on.
You can't. I can't turn it off. Like, I don't, ever since I started Dano's, seriously, this is a fact. I don't have normal dreams anymore. Like, I don't have dreams about crazy stuff. I don't have to wake up and go Google, like, what does this mean? This was in a dream. My teeth were falling out. Like, I don't have those dreams anymore. All my dreams are about Dano's. Like, I'm just locked in. Like, it's seriously, it's like, oh, I wake up and I'm thinking about Dano's flavored peanuts or something. You know what I mean? Seriously. It's crazy.
Is it a blessing and a curse?
I mean, I love it. It just, I'm never like, I wish this would just go away. Like, I love doing what I do. I love it.
So will you share with us in 2015 what was on the vision board?
Man, there was I remember there was one big sign that said golf, like a big golf ball, because it's like, that's what I want to do. I want to golf every day. Like, that was like my end vision. Like, one day when I retire, I want to golf. That's my hobby, golfing and fishing. And other than that, it was just, man, I know there was a nice truck on there. I'm a truck guy.
You've got that now.
Yeah, I've got a nice truck. Well, I've got like a decent truck. It's not like, over the top crazy or nothing. It's just
It's an
regular
F-250 King Ranch or something. What's the
No,
brand?
it's just the F-150.
But it's
Yeah.
nice.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are like
so-
$75,000 now for a nice F-150.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I think that's what I paid.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I got one.
You do.
Yeah.
What else is on that vision board?
Man, I can't really recall. I think it was just kind of, at the time, the girlfriend that I had, like, I just like, I need to fill this thing up to make her happy because it was like a homework assignment. So I was like, put an engagement ring on there or something.
Make her happy.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just funny. It was just filled with a bunch of nice stuff. You know what I mean?
So, when's the last time you made a vision board?
That was it. It was the only one I ever made.
What would be on it now?
Man. With the future of Dano's, I guess, maybe like communities, because what I really want to do is use my story to be able to show people that if I did it, you can do it too. Like I had a vision, I had a dream, and I just had that mentality not to give up and to chase something. So like my vision would be, I really want to help people in their journey and use Dano's in a way to do good for the community, bring people together. I mean, what the cool thing about Dano's is everybody's got to eat, right? So, we've been talking for 2 years, like we need to do a big like Dano's Fanos like event to where like everybody can come and like we just do cool stuff and cook food and have, a festival. We haven't got there yet because we're just so consumed with trying to make this right. And, the more money you make, the more problems you have. And we're totally dealing with that. Like we're super successful, but we also have problems every day. You know what I mean? Nobody sees that, but within the company, like we try and make everybody happy. You know what I mean? So eventually we want to get to the point to where we are this huge corporation and we can do awesome stuff for the community and be one of the well-known businesses of Kentucky that, is just awesome.
So that's on the vision board.
Absolutely.
And it's absolutely going to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I guess to throw some, I'm not a big materialistic person at all. Like I've been wearing the same tennis shoes for a year.
But you upgraded. You didn't bring your Crocs in.
I didn't. But that's the same pair of Crocs I've had for like 5 years. I was looking at them the other day. I'm like, man, you can literally it's paper thin on the bottom. It's time for a new pair. But
so you're not materialistic.
I'm not. And, but I would like to one day get a nice house on some land where I can do my cooking stuff, like kind of at my house. I was talking to Mike on the way in here. I was like, it'd be cool one day when I get my own house that it'll be set up and, I can just film what I make for dinner for the family. And there's our content. You know what I mean? We don't have to go to the studio and do it. I can just do it every night because I love doing it.
A house on 100 acres outside of Middletown, Kentucky.
Yeah. That'd be nice.
Right?
That'd be nice.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking the other day. There was a 3,600 square foot, 4-bedroom, 4-bath, super nice blue house, 60 acres for $770,000
Let's go.
in Campbellsville. It's
Let's
a little
go.
outside of the city, but you can get that for $770,000.
I got my real estate company. I went to a wedding. They had 2 weddings this weekend. That's not normal anymore. So I'm 44. But it was a Friday night and a Saturday night, and we're sitting there, and one of my real estate attorney buddies, he lives close to you in Louisville. One of them lives up here, one lives in Louisville. And he's like, hey, man, I drove by it. Y'all got 120 acres outside of Carrollton. It's in between here and Louisville, and it's only $375,000. And his wife's sitting there, and I went, dude, we're at a wedding. My only response to you is going to be like, let's go buy it. What are we talking about, right? So let's go buy it, man. Let's do it. Huh? Let's go buy 100 acres and get you that house. Let's go do it. I said, you're talking to a salesman. I know we're at a wedding and we're all dressed up, but you're talking to a salesman here, man. I'm like this quick from putting on my blue jeans and my boots and out there walking the land with you. Let's go.
Right.
But that's the vision. That house, you're there. You could buy it, but you're still massively investing into the business.
Yeah, a lot of people think that I'm like this crazy multimillionaire. Well, I'm worth $1 million on paper, but it's not in my bank account.
It's not going to be for another decade, man.
Right.
Not at that level.
It's just all in the business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I have a good salary. I make good money, but I'm not a millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I am, but
you are
not.
Yeah, the cash isn't there.
Right.
Because as a business owner growing a brand, you're actually utilizing it as a resource. That's what money's good for in life.
Right.
I don't want to compile it just to say I have it. I love to have the resource to build the better life.
Right.
change my life and others. So the vision board, all right, that's looking good on some land. Okay. What? How long he could be grinding? Don't say forever. How long? Like grinding. You're grinding.
You know, I am.
Mm-hmm. However,
It's not the grind that it was a year ago. It's not the grind that it was 2 years ago. For 3 years of my life was the grind. That's the blood, sweat, and tears. Like literally, like I've cried over Danos. You know what I mean? Sitting at home at night by myself. Like, is it really worth it? You know what I mean? But I never gave up. And I remember there was probably an instance of 4 or 5 times when I'm in the hole, bank account, whatever.
more than you have.
Yeah, more than I have. I got a full tank of gas, and I got my product. And I got to be in 4 hours away in West Virginia, and I got to get up and do it now. And it's like I could just say, I'm not going to do it. But something picked me up, like it was like a ghost or something, just picked me up and was like, you're going to do this. And I would just start loading things into the truck and loading it up. And then I was ready. And then I got on the truck and I'm calling my buddy. I'm coming to pick you up. Here we go. And I did it. And then I'd go stand on my feet for 3 days in a row, 10 hours a day, nonstop, cooking, talking. And I did it. And I kept doing it. And I did it even when I didn't want to do it.
So you don't have to do that now.
Correct. I do not. But that was the real grind. Like when you want to talk about grinding, like that was a lot. It was like a mental toll. But that's when I say when I never gave up, that's when I didn't give up, because I totally could have. It would have been real easy.
Is there one time that really sticks out? I call it these moments that all of us entrepreneurs have, the whatever it took, no matter what moment.
Well, that was it. I mean, there was 2 or 3 of them that were seriously like, I was like, I'm not doing this. But for some reason, I did it. Just because I was like, I would have to tell myself, you've already put in all this work, and you're going to give up now? I wouldn't actually say it out loud, but that's what I was saying to myself in my house with just me, and it was me and a bunch of Danos. It's like,
probably had a pallet sitting in the garage or something.
yeah, well, it was in my my living room. I got some photos, but yeah, my whole, I have 2 living rooms. One of them where I watch TV, and then the other living room was just turned into a Danos warehouse, and it was just wall to wall Danos stuff, boxes, tape, packing peanuts. I mean, it was it.
How don't you become so self-consumed with just Danos? Because you can get caught in the world, even though it was your world.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were just living like this Dano guy, which is you, is like looking back at you every moment of every day. Like, how do you still remain normal?
Well, I would still go out and have fun, play golf when I got home from the show on a Sunday, I would go out and play golf on Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesday would be like regroup, and then Thursday I'm back on the road if I wasn't already on the road on Wednesday. So I got my weekends were Mondays and Tuesdays, and the rest of the week I was traveling and having to sell more Danos. But it was, I wasn't really in a relationship at the time. It was just me focused on my business. When I would go out, I'd, have a few drinks, over tip, because I wanted to look like I was successful. Fake it till you make it.
That's the chip.
And so, there's plenty of those nights. And man, it was just a grind, dude. It really was. From 2017 to 2020, it was just a grind.
So you've given up the traditional life thus far. Do you think about that?
Yeah.
It's a big sacrifice.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing, is I said, a lot of people wouldn't be able to do what I did because of my circumstances. You know what I mean?
Same thing.
Yeah.
I've been with somebody for 15 years, but she's been all in with me.
Right.
90-hour weeks.
Yeah.
100-hour weeks.
Yeah.
It's like, because every sacrifice, the people and your great friends and your family, and if you're with a significant other, every sacrifice you make, they're making it with you.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not many people that you'll find that'll go through that with you.
Yeah.
Right? And if it is, the toll that it even puts on them, it's tremendous. There's things that very successful entrepreneurs give up. It looks glamorous,
Yeah.
but we give up a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of sacrifice.
A lot of sacrifice.
Absolutely.
Um,
And
so-
opportunities. You got to have opportunities. You know, when COVID hit and that plan B had to go into action, I didn't look at it as an opportunity, but it ended up being the best opportunity I was ever given. And I was just acting on it because I had to do what I had to do to survive. But I guess what I'm saying is it's all about what you do. Maybe not everything in your entrepreneurial journey, if you go out and start your business, maybe you don't always see everything as an opportunity, but when really it is. It's a blessing in disguise. You know?
So if you're going to help, because you've got a heck of a story, and I can tell, I bet your network and the people you're surrounding yourself with, even though Dano, good thing it wasn't David O, I agree.
Right.
Even though Dano, you want to be number one.
Absolutely.
You want to be.
Yeah.
But also number 37 is significant sometimes.
Yeah.
Huh?
I think we're number 6 or 7, I think, though, in the country. Seasoning.
But you were number 37 out of Incorporated 5000's growing businesses recently.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So you guys grew over 10,000% in a 3-year period.
Yes.
So even though you want to be number one, on the way to number one, you can have victories in other numbers.
Yes.
Number 37.
Yeah.
Would you have ever thought in your life you'd be so happy about being number 37?
It's pretty cool.
I bet.
Well, we were number 1 in Louisville,
Mhm.
the Louisville Fast 50.
Mhm.
And then I saw those numbers, and I asked my CFO, I was like, how did you get to that number? He's like, I'm a good CFO. I'm like, well, I guess you are.
You just walk out of the office. You just leave it alone.
I'll just leave it at that.
Do you get a plaque in the mail? Do they send you something
There's actually a party, too, that we're invited to, but we got so much
in
going on.
New York City?
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah.
Is that where it is?
I would assume it would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to another one, the Entrepreneur of the Year award that I won with EY. There's 17 different regions, and I was one of the top 6 in our region. So we're going to Palm Springs for the national awards. So there's going to be 100 or so finalists, and I think 10 of them win a National Entrepreneur of the Year award. So that's the next step in November. So that'd be pretty cool.
Did you ever think that you'd be bougie?
I'm not a
He's
bougie.
going to a Palm Springs party, baby.
I'm not a bougie guy. Oh yeah, is Palm Springs, is that supposed to be nice?
You're going to find out it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you're
mean,
about-
I've seen the pictures on their little advertisement, but I haven't looked it up or anything.
You're about to find out. So, hey, why did you know that graduating from Trinity on the resume was going to be beneficial to you later?
Just because growing up and knowing all the people that graduated from Trinity, just the connections that there are there, a lot of business owners and whatnot, kind of the same reason why I got really good at golf. Like, I was horrible at golf in high school. When I went to college, when I was like, I'm going to go make something of myself and I'm going to try and apply myself, I was like, I'm going to get good at golf because one day that's going to help me in my business. You know what I mean? So I really focused on golf and, made sure I went through Trinity. There's just certain little things in my life, like graduating from Trinity for me was a major win because I was real close to not making it. And so when I went to school, I made the dean's list for 4 straight semesters, but then I quit because I wanted to get out and go sell insurance. I didn't want to keep going to school when I knew I was going to go sell insurance. And then I got good at golf, and I was like, I'm going to do this because one day it's going to help me. It's going to help me in life to be good at golf. And sure enough, it has. People want to play with. When you're good, people want to play with
You get that call, man. Somebody
Right.
dropped off. I need that. They're like, man, I need the ringer. Like, oh, it's called Dano. So
Right.
all of a sudden, there's these businessmen where they're like, hey, we need a ringer
Right.
on our team to win.
Right.
And you're sitting there playing with
Right.
it. And they're asking you questions like, hey, man, what about this? What would you do in this situation? What about this club?
Right.
All that happens, right?
Yeah.
What do we hate, though, being on the course? What do we hate about somebody else? I have a friend, grew up in England, great at soccer, but great at golf. You know how we grew up throwing a football and throwing a baseball?
Yeah.
His town, every town in England and Scotland has a golf course.
Right.
So every day, and they got to play for free in their town. So he said that they would play 2 and 3 rounds every day growing up. So you can imagine how good he would be then. So he came to he was on Northern's golf team and all this stuff, but still to this day he's a scratch golfer. 50-something years old. He's got the accent. And I'm like, I'm not going golfing with you, man. Like, I'm terrible because I don't golf anymore for good reason. but I just don't want to hear it. I know I'm bad, and I know I'm going to get out of that cart, and I'm going to pick up the wrong club. I'm going to stand the wrong way. My head's not going to be down. I'm not going to follow through the right way, and probably inside of him, he just wants to say it all. But he's the only one in my life who doesn't.
Yeah.
Do you go out there and give advice all the time?
No.
Okay, because it sucks.
If I really want to like teach somebody, like I'm going to take them off the golf course.
There you go.
Like I have a niece. She's like, oh, I want to get on the golf team at school, and so I'm like, well, let's go to the range. Or at first she wanted to like go play golf. I'm like, you're not ready to play golf. Like you got to learn how to hit the ball before you get on the course. Like don't go out there and just hack balls around and make people wait on you. Like go out there with a plan that you know how to hit balls and you know how to advance the ball. You know what I mean? Don't just go out and shack balls around.
That seems like that's a plan for life.
Yeah. Like be prepared. Right.
Got to put in the work.
Yeah.
Read the playbook. Watch the film.
Right.
Can almost anybody be a good golfer?
Well, it's throwing a football is a natural stroke. Shooting a basketball, natural. Throwing a baseball is natural. There's nothing about the golf swing that's natural. It's a trained, muscle memory, body movement. Like there's a lot going on. It's not just something that's natural. It doesn't just come natural. So there's a lot to learn about it. Can anybody be good at it? I would say so if you got the right person teaching you. Here's what you don't want to listen to is the guy that shoots 120 trying to give you tips. You know what I mean? I see that all the time, and somebody's like trying to teach somebody, you need to do this, but yet they can't even break 100. So it's like, what are you teaching?
I look at a guy like John Daly, and I'm like, how? He's very good.
I was watching his golf swing this morning, believe it or not.
Tell me what you saw.
Well, I saw when he comes back, his right elbow, he keeps it really tight, and then when he gets up, he releases it and it comes up, so he can get that arc, and then he comes down through. But it was just funny. I just saw the little hitch where the right elbow is just tucked right up underneath there, but then when he gets up high, he breaks it out, and then he extends that arc. That's how he creates all that whip.
Do you think he had to figure that out? Because no one would teach that, would they?
No, it's definitely like a little glitch in the system. Like when you watch it,
It looks funky to me.
just like Jim Furyk. It's like right, but everything's about getting on plane. Like as long as you're on plane coming through the ball, that's the only thing that matters. Look at John Rahm, shortest backswing in golf. Yes, he hits it a mile. It's crazy.
Yeah, Jim Furyk. That guy seemed like he was like a scientist on the course.
Yeah,
Just seemed, and he would almost like he had a scalpel as a surgeon. And he would like bend over. He would hunch over more than the average dude too, because he seemed tall and lanky.
yeah,
And even though I'm not an expert, I see these things. I'm like, there's something different and weird about that.
yeah.
Yeah. But man, he looked like there was nothing special about anything about him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, he just looked like he was that scalpel.
Let me tell you something that happened cool in golf recently. So I've never played a PGA course. So in the same week, this was like a month ago, I got to play Valhalla and Oak Hill up in Rochester, New York. But when we went to Valhalla, I'm sponsoring two guys that I found on TikTok that are golfers, and they're going to Q School. When I told my team, like, hey, I want to sponsor these guys for Q School, they thought it was like to go to school. And I'm like, Q School is just qualifying with the best of the best in the country, and they're trying to get their PGA Tour card. And so they were asking for people to like send them money to help sponsor them and whatnot. So I was like, I want to sponsor these guys. I want to give them the money. I want them, now that I've become successful, I want to help other people chase their dreams. So we brought these two guys into Louisville. We gave them checks to pay for their Q School. And, but we went out and played Valhalla from the, not the tips, the PGA tips, like where they don't even let you go out there and do that. You have to have special permission. So they gave us special permission because we said, hey, these guys are going to Q School. Can you let us play back there? And they're like, yeah, we'll make an exception. So it was like 7,700 yards. Crazy. I mean, the longest course in Kentucky, I think it's Valhalla at like 7,300, but this is 77. It's they only put it on the scorecard. And so the one guy shoots 69, the other guy shoots 73. That's just how good these guys are. You know what I mean? Like, Lee Westwood on the opening day of the PGA Championship in 2014 shot 66. That's 6 under. This guy's never played the course before and shot 3 under.
69. What'd you shoot?
90. And I think I had 3 triples and maybe a quad. Like I had like 4 really bad holes. Other than that, I had 1 birdie, a bunch of pars, a bunch of bogeys.
Is it true that this might have been from one of the golf movies, or Phil said it or something, but it's not about one bad shot. Something about that, right? A great golfer can recover from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, when you put an 8 together, man, a snowman, that's when it hurts.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm out, dude, like 15, 16, 17. It was like 515-yard par 4, 495-yard par 4 uphill.
And if you're not putting it out at 275 off the tee, you got problems.
Eric Wood's playing with us, right?
Yep.
So number 17, we're playing all the way back. And he's a big dude, and he crushes his driver, straight as an arrow. Must have hit it 280 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And he made the fairway by 10 yards. Barely in the fairway.
That's insane.
It's insane.
And then you have to get, what, a 2-iron out?
Yeah, I was probably like a 5-iron or something. But, yeah, I mean, it's just...
And sticking that on the green? Come on, man.
Yeah. And that's the crazy thing is these guys are out there. You know, the one guy was crazy long that shot 73, and the other guy, Jake, he shot 69, and he wasn't as long as the other guy. But it's just everything's consistent. And he was actually over in the rough, probably coming out with a 5-iron or something, puts it on the edge of the green, makes par.
What's your toughest golf shot when you're sitting there looking like, oh, shit, not that club in this shot? What's your biggest challenge out there?
4-iron. Like 4-iron. Like, just because it's so hard to be consistent.
What is it about that flat iron? That flat-faced iron is just tough.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about, you got to focus on keeping your hands in front of the ball. If you let the club get in front of your hands, then all of a sudden you're just going to hit a flailer out to the right. Like, everything's just – it's so much easier to hit a pure 8-iron, 9-iron, pitching wedge, 7-iron just because you got the loft. And then you hit that flat stick, and it's like if you don't catch it just right and everything's right, it's not a good shot.
It feels like my arm clanks when I hit it.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can hit some pretty 4-irons. I hit that. I'm excited to play today because I went and hit the range. I was watching the TikTok golfers that I sponsor, and I watch them, and I watch how effortless they swing and how good they are. And this guy, Jake, he's shooting 6 under on 9 holes. Like, oh, I'm just going to play 9 holes today. Birdie, 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 par, birdie, par, birdie. And I'm like, and it's just so effortless looking. So I went out, hadn't hit balls in a month, and I'm hitting them yesterday trying to, like, mimic what he's doing. It was probably the best I've ever hit balls in my life.
But then why doesn't that always carry over from the range to the course?
We're going to find out today because I'm feeling pretty good. Like, I haven't been more excited to play some golf than, like, today.
Than right now.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what if you're going to help entrepreneurs, we talked about helping people. Yeah, you want to change the world. And you want to help others. And you think, you're like, hey, if I can do it, everybody can do it. I'm sure people are talking about writing the book. You haven't written a book yet, right?
Right.
You're probably in the process.
It's going to happen eventually.
It happens.
It's got to. Every time I've talked about it with my partner, it's like it's not the time yet. Like, it's not. We're just still getting going. I feel like I've said that so many times. Like, I'm just getting going.
But shouldn't you just write the book and you can write the next one then?
I guess you could.
Yeah. What do you think the advice or the conversation you can have if you're going to help people, like right now? Like what? Not just if it wasn't a seasoning business, not for me if it was a real estate business, but what's the advice? You're sitting down with the Dano,
Yeah,
from 2015.
Have a product you can believe in. That's the number one thing. The reason why I never gave up and like just saw the vision is because it made so much sense to me. Like, I believed in it 100%. 100%. There was never a doubt in my mind. Like, I had the vision. No matter what anybody said to me, there's nothing that was going to convince me that this couldn't be a national product. That's why it is. Because I believed in the product, the branding, everything just made sense. Now, when I first started in 2015, I wasn't aware of the Dan Good and Dano-Mite and all that. I just knew it had a good name, and the flavor was unbelievable.
Okay. So if it's that simple.
Have a good product.
Okay.
Have a great product. Believe in it. You got to believe in it.
Right. So those are the two things. You have to. But doesn't everybody believe their products probably?
Do they believe it through and through?
Okay. What's that mean?
You may have a good idea, but do you really believe that it's like the best product? Like if you came out with a brand of coffee, there's a lot of people making coffee. Are you roasting it yourself? Or are you just using a co-packer and putting everything into? Is it what do you have to do with it that makes it special, or is it just you had a bunch of money and you created a business? To me, the more that you have authenticity with it, like that's my recipe. Yeah, do I use a co-packer? Absolutely, because I have to. It has to be manufactured, but the way that I made the product is that it comes out like it's hand ground. I spent the extra time. I did the due diligence to use the correct ingredients to make it look like it was hand ground in a mortar and pestle, just like how I used to make it. It's exactly like that. So like I went through the extra time to give it that love that it needed to where it was something that I actually believe in, not just a money grab. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people, a lot of successful influencers and whatnot that are coming out with products. It's just a money grab. They know they have people that follow them. They can put a product out there. They can probably be pretty successful with it. But do they really, really believe in it? That's the thing. And that's where I think that I'm different. I totally 100% believe in what I'm doing.
Okay, so you tell the Dano from 2015 that, or that young, I say young, I mean, we're getting older here, man. Like, say that 20-something-year-old kid, and that you tell him that, but then what else?
Learn how to be resourceful. That's another one of the biggest things I'll tell people. You know, the starting the business, it's difficult, but it's not that difficult. Anybody can start the business. Learn how to do it. Learn how to be resourceful. You know, I graduated 244 out of 246 at Trinity, and then I forced myself to go to college, and then I applied myself, and I made the dean's list. You can do whatever you want to do. It depends on what you want to do. When you want to do, it's funny how when you want to do something, usually things get done. If you don't want to do something, it might not get done. But when you want to do something and you're driven, you usually figure it out. But learn how to be resourceful. I had to figure out everything myself because I had the vision. I knew I had the product, and there was nothing that was going to stop me. So like, it was like, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for my whole life, was this aha moment. And here it was. And now it was my time to be QB, you know?
Shouldn't this had a golf club or a golf bag over the shoulder?
We actually made one that he is holding a golf club, and I got it on little patches, and I'm gonna put it on some hats. I haven't done it yet, but
Maybe that's Dano's Peanuts.
Right. Hey,
Maybe that's that one.
you never know.
So we're 2023. If you guys have grown 10,000% in the last 3 years, that's significant. How do you keep reproducing this?
I think that was the 4-year number.
Sorry. Apologize.
But that's how it was published.
Okay.
And I was like, I think they got this wrong. He's like, well, that's what I gave them. And I'm like, well,
I would have said the same. I would have said the same thing if it would have been like, hey, you guys have grown 3,000% in 3 years.
Right.
There's just a category of growth that it's like, okay, there's something happening in the market system that it's working.
Mm-hmm.
It's working.
Yeah.
How do you do it again? How do you 10x it? How do you 7x it? Like, do you see it?
Man, you know, I was talking to my partner the other day, and I said, the next business that I start, I'm going to go at it with a total different approach because I want to win those awards. I always want to win, right? And it's like, now that I know these awards, I didn't even know these awards were out there. And I didn't know that they looked at them in like a 3-year spurt. So it's like, 2019, I finished with like $200,000. So you can do the math and figure out what we're going to do now. But when I start my next business, I'm going to start from zero. And then how quick can you get to $5 million or $20 million? But it's got to be a product that I believe in 100%. It's not just going to be like, oh, I'm just going to throw my name on something because.
Do you have one? You're not going to share it here, but do you have it?
Man, I've got so many ideas. I really do. We're a seasoning product, right? Everybody eats. Well, if you love my product, my seasoning, well, wouldn't you love my peanuts? Wouldn't you love my potato chips? Wouldn't you love my beef jerky?
Maybe the best grill. I'm sure all these things are coming your way.
The best grill.
Right.
I've got a lot of ideas about that, actually.
Yep.
Because a lot of them are Chinese made now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, hey.
I just bought 2. We have a big fall fest for our company that we put on at a private farm. Little baby goats and slides and pumpkin and paint this and that. And I bought a big griddle, a 4 or 8 burner with another 4 or 8 burner, something else. Went on Amazon, and I'm looking at ratings, reviews, but then I'm like, man, this stuff's probably not going to last a long time. And so there's some big brands like Weber and all that, and I'm like, you think Weber, you think quality. I don't know if it really is though. I just don't know.
I'm a fan of Weber.
Okay, so maybe the quality's there.
Yeah.
There's probably a bunch of things you got to pick which one. This thing is such a hit.
Yeah.
You got to make the next thing a hit.
Right. It's got to. And we're talking with some companies about doing like prepackaged meats, like pre-patty burgers, like frozen burger patties. They already got the Danos in it. You just throw it on the grill, let it heat up, and it's a dang good burger. So we're looking at some things like that.
Some of the best burgers I've ever had are ones that I go into a local butcher and they have their special combination of whatever.
Oh yeah, that's the hand ground. Like if you go to these big grocery stores, a lot of times that ground meat, it's just all the not so desirable meats. But like Kentucky Cattleman's meat that's sold here in Kentucky at Kroger's, they're like 1 little pound packs, and they're like $7 or $8. You know what they do that makes it special? It's the whole cow. It's got the brisket, the ribeye, the filet in there. They don't section it out. They don't do any of that. They take the whole cow and grind it all up, so you have all the good meat in there. That's why it's twice the price, because you're getting this burger. I mean, all you got to do is go try it once, and you're like, holy cow, like that is the best burger I've ever had. It's because how they do it, the quality.
See, you're an expert marketer, because we were talking about the best beef, and you said holy cow.
Yeah. I noticed that.
You just squeezed it in there?
Yeah, I just squeezed that one in there.
What do you think? How do you look at business planning? Do you look at 3 years, 5 years, 7 years strategically? How do you build that?
Yeah, on our leadership team, of course, we have our 5-year plan, but really it's focusing on now it's new products. Right, so what we're trying to establish is like a block of like 10 at Walmart and Kroger. Well, that's going to take years to do. So we're hoping by 2025, because the resets aren't till like March and April. So we just got Walmart to take our 3 new products that nobody even knows about. So they're going to take all 5 of these plus our new 3. So next year, 2024, we're going to have a block of 8 at Walmart. So when you go in there, we are now competing with the block of Weber, the block of Kinder's. Like we now have our block of 8
in every Walmart.
In every Walmart, yeah. Like it was kind of Tyler, our salesman, just went to Bentonville 2 weeks ago, and that's what he was working on. Is like, hey, we love promoting you guys, but let's be the one-stop shop for Danos to carry all of our products. So they said, let's do it. So we've also already proven to them, all these. Walmart and Kroger's and these stores, like they took a chance by putting us in there because they didn't know if we were going to be able to have supply chain issues and all this stuff, because we're the new guy on the block. And here I am. You look at Danos on social media, you see me, right? It's like, oh, is this the guy that's going to really like do all this?
Well, so mixing it in the back room.
Yeah, right. And so there's a lot that goes into like going into a company like that. They want to see your bank statements to know that if they put in $1 million order, you can fill it. There's a lot to it. It's not just, people are like, why isn't this product in there? It's like, well, it ain't that easy. It's like a 8-month process just to get a product onto the shelf.
Is there, do you have to deal with banks now and deal with money and lending and borrowing?
Absolutely.
How not fun is that?
Man, we had to bend over backwards to get like our first bank loan. And, then we got another one, and it's just funny that, you can do $20 million, but if you're not making a profit, guess what? They don't want to give you money.
At all.
Right.
It's like, how do I grow?
I know what EBITDA is now.
There you go.
Right. Yep. So you got to know what EBITDA is. So
expenses before interest, taxes, all the stuff. It's like, why do I have to know these things?
Yeah.
I just thought it tasted good.
Right.
But it's tough. It's a new world now. Business looks different for you now.
Yeah, absolutely. We got an awesome CFO. So when he joined the team almost 2 years ago, it was, he came in and it took months for him to just like get us in line, and now we're actually making a profit. You know what I mean? Back then, the year we did 2020, 2022, we did $20 million. We made 0 profit. 0. I mean, it was literally, I think it was like
$2,
$8,000 or something.
That's the same
That's
8,000 you
nothing.
started it with.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's funny. I didn't think about it like that. But yeah, it's just crazy to think. You know, I mean, people think that, oh, big business, like you're just a millionaire, and it's like, no, we actually didn't make any money last year. But now, working on EBITDA, and so now once you get a positive EBITDA, you know, especially 5 or 10%, then these banks, they're bending over backwards to give you money. When you need it, they don't want to give it to you. And then maybe when you don't need it, they're like, hey, you need some money.
Let's back up the dump truck.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah. Has this been challenging over the 12 months with you aren't a small business anymore. You're transitioning from medium to large. That's how I would see it. Like that
Yeah.
transition's happening.
Yeah.
And is the interest rate environment, is that tough? Do you guys work off of a line of credit without digging in too much? Is that tough to budget?
I really don't deal with any of that at all. Really, I just know like what we were just talking about.
Yep.
Like, but when it comes to our CFO, like, I don't really dive into any of the interest rates or any of that.
Here's the reports. Here's our profitability.
Right.
Here's projections.
Right.
Keep selling, Tyler.
You can always sell equity too.
You can.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts about that?
We've done that. I mean, that's how we got to where we are now. I think we've sold around 15% or so.
Okay.
To raise, it's about, I think around $5 million total.
And that's gotten you here.
Yeah.
How do you get to $100 million?
Man, bring in more money and invested in marketing.
Do you think you'll get there? What do you think the next in 5 years? What do you think? What's Dano's going to be?
Our goal is to hit 100 million by the end of 2026.
Okay.
So that's the goal.
All right. So I was right
So-
thinking that 100
Yeah,
million.
yeah,
We think in these even numbers.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So that's the goal.
What do you do then? When that happens,
Yeah.
what do you do then?
You know, if you asked me 2 years ago, I'm like, I'm never going to sell Danos.
You'll listen.
Maybe I do.
Yep.
Maybe I don't. Maybe we get larger investors and we open up manufacturing and like become the next big actual
The
you know,
massive.
Well, when you open up manufacturing, you know, I remember reading a article in Entrepreneur magazine, and they're like, don't even consider, as a CPG company, you don't even consider manufacturing until you're doing like $50 million in revenue, because it doesn't. You're opening up a whole nother can of worms, and you got to have the right team. You know, think about, we have almost a 50-person team just to do what we're doing right, and we're not even making the product. But we still have to quality control and do all that stuff to make sure that our product's coming out right. We got to hold somebody accountable. Well, now when you start doing it yourself, you know, we got 50 people in our team now. We're going to probably need 100 people just to run the manufacturing plant. You know what I mean? Now, at the end of the day, it's the way to improve your margin. So it could be, you know, the next 4 or 5 years down the road, that could be the next step.
Yep. I'm really good friends with the director of IT at JTM.
Mm-hmm.
650
Oh,
employees.
the peanut butter and jelly?
Nope. All the beef, JTM.
Oh, JTM.
Yeah, here in
Okay.
Cincinnati and
Okay.
Harrison, Ohio. 650 employees. They do all their manufacturing. I hear all the different businesses that have to run within that,
Yeah.
because it's what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Just, man, I think about it, I'm like, wow, that's an enormous operation.
You got a leak in the roof? It's your problem.
And then it affects everything else.
Yeah,
You shut down
absolutely.
one line. One thing happens in one line. You're
Right.
calculating it in hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Absolutely.
Holy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So, but that's exciting, the 5 years. So the 5 year probably looks something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully we'll get there, and then and we'll probably have a good idea what's going to happen as we get closer and closer. But
You see 2025 and 6 now.
yeah.
That's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now you're working on what does the 5 year look like?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
More products. Eventually, maybe we'll launch a hot sauce, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, we don't want to do it unless it's the right decision. So right now we're not focusing on any of the bright, shiny things. We're focusing on building our block out.
Yeah. See, how do you balance this when you were building it up?
Mm-hmm.
Risk was just a 4-letter word. It didn't even matter. You cast it aside. Risk. You haven't even built anything to be at risk yet.
Right.
But now you have. How do you not get so safe that it doesn't evolve properly?
Trust your team. Trust the team that we've built. You know, a whole leadership team, CFO, COO, CMO. You know, we got them all. 4 years ago, I didn't know what C-suite meant. You know what
It's
I
a
mean?
room with a bunch of
Right.
letters.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you got to trust in your team and trust that, we're build the culture. Everybody's on the same team with the same vision and believe in what I say believe in what I believe in, but believe in what the company believes in.
The vision now.
Yeah.
So you guys want to change, what is it? Change the world one table at a time?
Change the world one table at a time. Only takes one sample. I remember I always revert back to this with my executive team, and I tell them Lucky's Market was a little grocery store in Louisville, and it closed down. But that was the first real grocery store that was like a real grocery store that I was in, and I probably sampled there like 10 times. And then I didn't have to go back there, and they would consistently sell 10 to 12 cases a month. So that was like 3 bottles a day. Believe it or not, if you're selling 2 bottles a week in Walmart or Kroger, you're in like the top 40%. 2 bottles a week
Per store?
Puts you in the top 40%. Yeah, like you're doing good. Like that's good.
Wow.
It's kind of crazy to think.
Yeah.
So we're selling like I think 10 or 11 in Walmart and like 6 in Kroger. So we're doing really well. But to me, it's like, gosh, I went to that Lucky's Market and I sold 6, after demoing for 10 times there, people knew where the product was and they're selling 3 bottles a day. It's like if we could duplicate 3 bottles a day throughout the country, we would be number one like that.
So why can't you?
Well, that's what we have to figure out. How can we do that? Like, to me, it's like, say we sell 6 bottles a week in Kroger. Let's just call it 1 a day. Really? Like all those people are walking in there and we sell 1 bottle a day and that's success? Like that's crazy to me. How can we not sell 10?
See, you guys are going to crush, man, because what I find is with the best entrepreneurs, they take questions like this that everybody else is like, that's great. And you're like, no, it's not.
Right. Like it makes no sense.
It makes, like, I found myself at a wedding this weekend, one of these weddings, talking to some C-suite guys of a development company. And I went, if I could buy a building like this 4 years ago,
Yeah.
when before that I was renting space,
Mhm.
buy the building and now I'm the landlord and start to compound it. If I could do it, why would the company sell me the building that I bought? Because I've turned it into something. They have a whole team. They're the biggest developer. Why would they do that? And then why wouldn't other people? And these people are looking at me thinking I'm speaking Spanish.
Mm.
And I'm like, this is simple. It's so simple, and you see it that way too.
Mhm.
So you have to be able to take that and sell that vision and that dream to everyone else.
Yeah.
And in a bigger company, it becomes ever tough.
Yeah.
It is, right? Even if
Yeah.
you have the right team.
Oh, it is. For sure.
Do you in Louisville? We're sitting here at 12:35, so we got a few more minutes. I think you got a tea time at 3.
Sure,
All right. You're a guy where I think local matters.
Absolutely.
I bet.
Yeah, 100%.
Are you able to keep any of this there? It's tough with a growing company. It's funny when you're at 50 and 100 million. If you bring manufacturing, you can do it there.
Right.
Can you keep this? Do you keep it there?
Yeah, our whole goal, I think I touched on it a little bit earlier, but our whole goal is we want the city of Louisville. We want Kentucky to be known for bourbon, horses, and Danos. You know what I mean? And it started right there in Louisville, like homegrown. I was born and raised in Louisville, and so we want people to know we're in the first year or two of our partnership, we started spending money on media, like TV and stuff like that, all over the country, like in little pockets. Like we'd spend money in Nashville and Kansas City. If we went into like some new grocery stores, well, spending $10,000-$20,000 in Kansas City doesn't really move the needle much. It's more just, yeah, you're getting a little brand awareness, but we were kind of just like burning through some money. And we figured if we spend more of our money, like for like the media, just in our hometown and own our backyard, and then do little bits and pieces of like spreading out, but not spending $20,000 in Kansas City because that's just almost burning money. So we're really trying to focus on owning our backyard, the marketing dollars that we spend. Let's be aggressive in our own city to let everybody know that, hey, this is a Louisville product, Kentucky product, and then disperse a little bit out.
So you're trying to keep it there, everything you can.
Yeah, we want everybody to know that Danos is Louisville.
That's a pretty big dream. I mean, Churchill and horses have been around for a long time.
Yeah. Sounds good, right?
I mean, it sounds awesome. I'm sitting here and saying, see, I love big dreams, man,
Yeah.
because it's not possible without it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Louisville is it's home of the Flavor Belt, right where the Bible Belt ends, the Flavor Belt begins.
I've never heard that. Is that because Dano's?
That's because of Danos. It's where the Flavor Belt is.
So if that's the beginning of the flavor belt, where does it continue to?
I don't know. I just think it's kind of like a little belt in Louisville. That's the Flavor Belt.
So what do you think when I say the word humility and humble?
Yeah. I think that I'm a normal dude. Like, I really am. Like, I had big visions and big dreams, and I was willing to make sacrifices and willing to go after it all. And I saw the vision. But at the end of the day, I go home, hang out with my girlfriend and her two daughters, and it's just a normal life. Like, I'm not doing anything big and fancy. I'm just hanging out. You know what I mean? I can't wait to go home, and I'm going to go play some golf, and I'm going to go home, and I'm going to watch the Packers game.
So the Packers game. So you're all about a football game. Sunday night.
Oh, I love some football.
Monday night, Thursday night.
I watch football all day long.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man.
NFL especially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's special about the game of football, and especially the NFL? Why do we love that so much?
That I'm not there. That was my vision back right.
But guys like me, 5'9", guys like me, you know, we love it too.
Right. It's the competitive spirit and the I don't know, just to watch a team, and of course I like to bet a few bucks on the games. That always keeps it interesting, and you'll watch a game that's 41-3 when you got a little money on it. So otherwise you're flipping the channel. But
I don't think there's any 38-point spread games out there.
Right.
I'm pretty sure there's not.
I hit a good one last night.
Did you?
Yeah, I did a parlay I took McCaffrey to score a touchdown, over 45, and I put San Francisco by 21.
So you did a parlay in the same game.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I'm not an expert like you are on this, but I'm like, so a parlay is 3 bets.
Yeah.
You have to hit all 3 of them to win.
Yeah. And it was $30, paid $500.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Don't you look back, you're like, why didn't I put 300 on it?
Yeah. Absolutely. Maybe I did.
So the
I was doing the quick math.
Is that what it was? Okay. Yeah. So you think you're just a normal guy?
Yeah.
There's something abnormal in there. I'm going to tell you that there is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's these quiet things that a lot of other people don't see. There's because we can look normal, see what they did to me. Look at this, isn't that funny? See what they did to me last week?
That's awesome.
Well, they said has a little too much hair, which it does. I said you took off a couple pounds. That's right. But that's funny. But I think, and I see myself as looking younger than that dude too.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm normal, but you have to start seeing these things that there's moments about your life and things you're doing that's like, hey, this isn't normal. You think it is, but I think the challenge will be, man, I think you've got a chance probably in Louisville in the state of Kentucky. You probably have a chance to share this story. This is one of those stories that it feels and seems normal to share it with other people. Like, hey, you can take something as simple as this, a seasoning, and you could do something really big with it. And I bet the 50 people on your team, I bet most of them really love working with you. I bet they do.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah. I mean, you know it.
Mike?
He's like, yeah,
you love it.
You love it. I love it. Sorry. He's like, sorry, guys. You know it, though. You feel it if you're making impacts on people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's special.
Yeah.
It
It is crazy. The not just the lives that I can change with the product, but think of the lives that the people that work with Danos, all the team members, they have families. You know what I mean? So there's another impact of changing lives.
Is there one more thing outside of golf and Danos? Is there like a quiet passion, like something you want to see changed in the world or something that you want to do? Is there something you're like, hey, in the next 10 to 15 years, I'm going to get involved in that thing? Is there something you consistently see? Like for me, it's education for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up, I mean, poor financially, but a community that loved me.
Mm-hmm.
In a poor little town that's not that way anymore. But I'm like, if I could come from that and be sitting in this room or some of the other nonprofit rooms I'm sitting in, then anybody can.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so, but it was when I went home every night that there was an expectation, regardless of how much money was there to pay the bills or what food there was. There was an expectation that I was going to do my homework, and there was an expectation that the next day that I wasn't going to piss teachers off and I was going to go do what I was supposed to do. And so I just don't personally. I just look in communities, and we're missing that culturally sometimes now. So I think that's going to be my thing over the next 10, 15, 20 years. I don't have the time right now because I'm building it, but is there anything extra like that you see, like that thing?
Man, really, to be honest, I think, telling my story, it never gets old to me. I think it's a great story to tell because I built a multi-million-dollar company that's changing the world, changing people's lives off of a seasoning because I believed in something, because I believed. And if I can tell that story to people, whether it's writing a book or this podcast, just being able to tell people, hey, I didn't live the life of somebody that was like, I wasn't destined to be successful. I went out there and made it. I went out there and got it. I had the vision. I saw it. When I had the opportunity, the right thing popped in my head, there was no turning back. It was like, that's what I'm going to do. If I can inspire somebody just to, keep thinking, always keep thinking, and eventually I hope that one day you get that opportunity to have your aha moment and just be like, that's it. Like when it happens, you will know. Like when I had the disposable toothbrush idea, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a great idea. But it wasn't the same as when Danos hit me. It wasn't the same. Totally different. When Danos hit me, it was like, that's it. 100%. I get to do what I'm passionate about and share something that I created with the world.
I think that'll be good enough. You've sold me on it. Two more things we wrap up here. One,
sure.
When you get in that truck, I'm assuming you're in the F-150 today.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I'm hoping it's like a crew cab and the clubs are inside. They're not.
They're in the truck bed.
They're in the bed?
Yeah.
You guys are country.
Well, you got to keep them warm.
I don't know. I'm thinking you're talking about how good you're going to play. I'm like,
right.
You either got to have ice in the veins or something here. The temperature's going to meet the clubs. But what music will be on in the truck?
Oh, I listen to talk radio everywhere I go, or nothing. I don't listen to music much. I don't know. I'm a thinker. Mm-hmm. Isn't that right, Mike?
Mm-hmm.
I think we drove halfway here with nothing on. And I turned the radio on, went through a couple channels, and I just flipped it over to sports talk radio.
Are you good at small talk?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. As much as that brain's firing all the time.
What you thinking?
No, I'm just thinking you're probably not as much because your brain's always firing.
Yeah.
Just general small talk that doesn't matter with anybody. I mean, a good
No.
salesman does that, but it's like, man, there's always something in your brain. You probably have questions you want to ask, problems you're solving throughout the day.
Yeah.
When you're right.
That's me.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Small talk's fine, but it's not as interesting as
Yeah.
having some more in-depth conversation.
Yeah. My girlfriend all the time, she's like wanting to hang on the phone with me when I call her at like 3:00. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to get off here. And she's like, you'll talk on the phone all day long. I'm like, babe, when I'm talking business, that's one thing. I don't, the small talk stuff, like I'll see you when I get home.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's things that the reason why I would say there's these indicators with successful business people.
Mm-hmm.
Just it's like we think we're so dissimilar, but we're not. There's enough people. It's like, yeah, there's the same things happening in there. I don't think you're a guy who gets starstruck either.
I did when I was hanging out with Josh Allen like 2 weekends ago.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Who's the?
I was starstruck. Like I walked up to him, and first off, he's like, "Oh, you're the guy that makes the TikTok videos." He knew who I was. I'm like, "That's pretty cool." And first thing I said to him was, I was like, "Man, I wish you would have got 15 more yards to Stephon Diggs. I would have won 5,000." He's like, "I'll get him next week."
He's just like, man, leave me alone, dude. I'm doing what I can out here, right? Who would? Who's the apex person you'd be starstruck by?
Man, probably Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk.
Mm-hmm. What about a golfer?
Because those are the guys that I listened to when I was starting out. I remember in 2015 and 16, I was going to the gym 3-4 days a week. I would look around, everybody's listening to music on their iPads, and I'm over here listening to motivational stuff. I'm listening to conversations. I'm starting out on building my empire. I don't need to listen to music. That's just like brainwashed to me. I'm listening to speeches and motivational stuff, and how am I going to do this? You know what I mean? Taking little tidbits from everybody.
You can calculate it in the thousands of hours that you've listened to those guys.
Yeah.
Thousands.
I don't so much anymore these days because I guess I'm already like,
execute now, right?
yeah, now it's more like next level.
I told him. I told my leadership team last week, and I said, "Hey, listen, I'm not reading as many books anymore.
Yeah.
I'll listen to podcasts now, entertaining at times, but it's like, hey, until we're executing on the things that we already read and learned and heard about, don't put any more in there. Execute that first, start to become proficient there, and then level up on the next one.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I think if you keep on looking for like the next thing, it's like, come on, guys. It's pretty simple now.
Yeah.
Just go out here and make it happen and do it. What about the golfer? Who's the golfer?
Oh, man. Gosh, like who would I like to meet?
Who would you like to play 18 holes with? That's still around.
I mean, it's got to be Rory. Rory McIlroy.
Why?
Yeah, I guess just how he hits the ball a mile. Just everything's so compact and like just it'd be awesome to witness personally. It's not that I know like so much about his personal life and like want to talk to him. It's like I would want to witness that golf swing for 18 holes. That would be cool to witness.
Would you be able to play with him too, or you'd be too much in?
Oh, I'd probably shoot around a 90. If we, that week I played Valhalla from the professional tips, the 4 days later I played Oak Hill. That's where the PGA Championship was this year. And we played from like 6,700 yards. I shot 88, but I shot 40 on the front. I was 4 over on the front. Like I hit every fairway. I was playing great.
What
I
happened
had a
on the
double.
back?
I had a double too. I shot 40 on the front and had a double in there. So I played great on the front. And then I was
A Miller Lite or a Jack or something happened on the back? What happened?
I was 7 over through 13 holes, and then we had a little short par 4, and I teed off with a 4-iron and chucked it in the woods, and that was the downhill. I made triple. I think I tripled 3 of the last 4 holes.
What do you do when you're having those moments? Because you're very skilled. What happens when you're hitting that triple? When you're in the midst of it? What happens?
Let's just finish this hole and get on to the next.
Have you lost any clubs?
Back in the day, I've grown up quite a bit. Let's just say, I'm humbled. I'm humbled.
There it comes. All right, what gets you as we run out here? What gets you the most fired up? What makes you the most fired up? And you're like, man, your weakest moment, even maybe get a little emotional or upset. What's the moment?
Oh man, I guess I'm still a human being. So if I see, people disrespecting Danos or something, making a video, because those happen. People being like, "Who is this guy?" Like that fires me up. Like I have emotions. You know what I mean? It irritates me. So, does that work?
I mean, hey, listen, that's it. If that's what
like
gets you fired
there
up.
was a time like when we were really blowing up in 2020, and I used to make all the videos and post them and do all the commenting. Now I have a team that's all gone. I have a videographer that shoots the video, somebody that edits the video, somebody that manages the accounts. I don't do any of the posting other than my personal accounts. But it was important that they took me off of that because it was messing with my mental health there for a little bit. Like when I go in and read the comments and stuff, and like people just being disrespectful, and
From all those people who had never done anything.
Pretty much, yeah.
Guarantee it.
Yeah. And then for me, it's hard to not fire back.
Yeah.
I just got to bite my tongue and take it.
You're a fighter.
Yeah. I just take the punches.
Have you ever been around anyone?
That's the most frustrating part about it is that I can't fire back.
There you go. Because you'll have something to say. Let's go. Get on a mic, face to face.
I would love to.
Let's have something to say.
Yeah.
When you were coming up, have you ever had someone that was a naysayer, that was negative, that told you couldn't? Have you had, because you've had them, have you ever had any of them that had achieved more than you? Has there ever been anyone that's achieved more than you where you were at that was negative with you, that said don't do it, that said you're not capable?
No.
That's always the answer, man.
Yeah.
What we have to do better in this world, quit listening to people that have not achieved and come before us in our areas and our spaces. Just stop. They've got no clue. They don't know what it takes. They don't know the mindset. They don't understand the leadership principles. None of it. We got to shut that shit off. And if we do a better job shutting that off, man, that will help us to continue going. So many people give up because of all those people around them. They start believing them. There is no one that I've ever seen, and all the entrepreneurs I've sat across from here, man, no one has ever said yes. We got to start listening to the right people.
Yeah, I mean, that's I couldn't imagine telling somebody.
You wouldn't.
Right.
You wouldn't.
Right. Like, I'm not going to be the one to tell you can't be successful doing that.
Because you know they could.
Right. I may tell you the obstacles and the hurdles that you're going to run into along the way.
That's mentorship.
But I'm not going to tell you can't do it.
Correct. No one ever would that has achieved success beyond the person they're talking to.
Right.
I'm telling you, man, it has not been yes one time. It's always been no, man, they aren't.
Yeah.
We just got to do a better job of the people that we allow to mentor us. But then the next,
well, I was thinking about all the naysayers.
I know you were,
because there's
you were
a lot.
thinking hard.
There's a lot.
Yep. And you were processing. I'm like, man, is he going to be the first?
Right.
Yep. But then the challenge is, though, too, listen to the people who do know.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because our hard-headedness, right, it makes us not do that all the time.
Mm-hmm. Success copies success.
100%.
There's a blueprint.
Yep.
Do what the successful people do.
Simple.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for coming in, man.
Thanks for having me. It's been a blast.
We learned something about Dan-O's, and I think we can find it everywhere we want to find seasoning. It's there now. It's
there. Well, especially the green top. The green top's everywhere. And you can go to the Dollar General store and grab a little packet over in the dollar item section. We got little packets for $1. Walmart's, Kroger's, I mean, all the grocery stores pretty much. There's only a couple that it's not in. And, we got the 4 other flavors. The spicy, that's the red top. Chipotle, that's the
it's like a maroon
maroon top.
Yeah.
Because in my videos, everybody's like, oh, that's the black top. That's the cream top. So the black is the crunchy. It's it's like an everything bagel, but it's my flavor. It's totally unique. It's going to beat any other everything bagel seasoning you've had on the market. And this, it's kind of like my new pride and joy. These are my babies, right? I got 2 kids that are like 8 years old. This one's like 2 years old. This is a year old. This is like 6 months. Yeah.
Tell us what's special about the new addition to the family.
The cheesening. So the first flea market I ever did was in 2017, and I went out there with the goal to do $1,000, and I sold like almost 4,000. And that's when I was like, I can do this. I can quit my bartending job, and I just need to find flea markets, and I can survive. I can get this product from A to B by just doing this. I can do the work. Well, I had to figure out how to let people try my product. So I was taking the green top and I was mixing it with Parmesan cheese and letting people try it. And they're like, oh, well, I'll take the seasoning and then I want one of those. And I'm like, well, that's not for sale. You just make that yourself. Mix the Dan-O's with Parmesan cheese. And there you go.
Nobody wants to.
Right. They wanted to buy the product. So my mom was there with me and she was like, you got to make that. So like it was a product that I wanted to make for years. And so we started working on it probably 2021, and we had the product like fine tuned. But the thing is it's cheese, so it's got a little bit of,
shelf life,
distribution, shelf life, a little bit of different things going on. So we had actually sent it to Walmart and Kroger, and then we had basically said we're not going to do this because it's too many obstacles. Walmart and Kroger come back 6 months later and they say we're taking it nationwide, and we're like, all right, back on the shelf, let's figure this out.
Let's go.
So now we figured it out. We bought the name Cheesening for $20,000. I said we can't launch this without getting that name. It was trademarked since 1959, so we bought it from a company. We offered them $20,000. They took it. There was no back and forth, no negotiation. So we bought it for $20,000, and it was the best thing, probably the best investment we've had maybe since the start of Dano's, because it's just been flying off the shelf. The product's amazing. Put it on pizza, popcorn. You can do like Parmesan crusted shrimp or chicken. It's amazing. It really is. And now we're going to do like other flavored seasonings, like a spicy one with some red pepper and like, so it's just, we might have a whole seasoning line and then the whole seasoning line, seasoning, right? So it's just super excited when we launched this, and we couldn't keep it in stock, and now it's out there. Every store it goes, every shelf it goes on, it's selling out. It seems like it's just flying off the shelf. So it's an awesome problem to have.
Says welcome to the family.
Yeah, the Dan family.
It's exciting, man. I think I'm pumped about something so simple.
Yeah,
a seasoning that you can make so special and turn into this type of a brand. And a lot of it, it's all these moments, but then 2020, you just finally listened to Gary Vee and said, okay, man, this guy must be the expert.
It was sink or swim.
Yep.
And so it wasn't that I listened to him every day. It was just
that hit.
He said, you got to do TikTok. And I was like, all right, my social media following was so small. I was like, this is what's going to change. Like, help me get it out there, because all I needed was eyeballs. And that's where you could get on there. Now it's different. Now if you go out and start on TikTok, yeah, you might get some views, but it's not what it was in 2020.
You're not getting the 2 million in a week or something wild.
For content that's not even that
for
great.
Some random stuff.
It's not even that great.
They were
like, I look back at my old videos and I'm like, man, how did I get 2 million views on that?
They didn't have any content.
You know what I mean? Right.
They were trying to push it out. The algorithm was just slamming it on people.
Right.
Yeah.
And now, but I also look back and I'm very judgmental of myself. I always am. Like, I probably watch my videos more than anybody on my team.
And critique the hell out of them.
I'm always critiquing, like, how can I get better? You know what I mean? Because I want to, if I'm the face of the business, I want the business to succeed. So how can I get more people to stay involved and watch the recipes and actually like soak it in?
Yeah. I know that Dan Oliver is not searching. I don't think so, but maybe, man. It feels like you couldn't achieve this with this confidence if you were searching for validation. Because people that search for validation aren't willing to self-critique like that. Because you want the improvement. You want to be better. Your validation's coming from you knowing that you need to get better, not from others. But that chip on the shoulder too, that's a unique combo. Because you're a confident guy, man. You are. You don't need anybody else to tell you anymore that it can be done. You're going to do it. And I'm thinking so many people in businesses have an issue with doing social media because of that. They don't want to make the video because they're concerned what everyone else is going to think about them. It's a big problem for realtors, for independent, for everyone. It's like, guys, just make the damn video. Now, the first 100 probably are not going to be good, but make them anyway.
Right.
Right?
Well, it's like Gary Vee. What, did he make like 600 or 700 or 800 videos before he took off?
Yep.
It's crazy.
Might even be more.
And he did it consistently.
Yes. And if you look back at those wine library videos, they're not good.
Right.
He just sat down. He was talking about wine.
Right.
He was passionate about it, and he was talking about it.
Yeah.
And then you start developing the skills and build the team. So kudos what you're building, man. I could sit here and talk all day, but I know that you think you're going to go out and shoot a 72 today. He believes it.
I believe it.
Right? So if you need to pick up a quick copy of The Secret. I don't think we have one in here. The secret is to go ahead and convince yourself a 72 is coming.
That's right.
When's the last time you shot a 72? When?
I shot a 69 earlier this year.
What was that, on a 9-hole course?
No, it was 18. I
only shot 5,000 feet?
I shot one under twice this year.
Okay.
Or no, I shot under par twice this year. That's what I meant to say.
Give us the prediction, then. What's it going to be today?
Well, if there's no wind, because it's Neville Mead, it's kind of up on a hill. If it's windy, it plays a little different. If I hit the ball like I did yesterday on the range, I think I'm going to shoot like a 74.
Okay. We need an update on this.
All right.
So you think you're going to shoot a 74?
I think I'm going to shoot 74.
If the wind arrives.
Or better.
Okay.
If the wind arrives, I'll be happy in the 70s.
Okay. What would you say, though, if you were sitting in a meeting and you're like, guys, I need your prediction. What's going to happen when this happens? You're looking for an exact what's going to happen. And they're like, well, now if everybody shows up today, we'll be able to hit these numbers. But if they don't,
right,
I bet your response is like, hey, let's make sure everybody shows up today.
Right.
Okay, so if the wind shows up, you got to compensate for it.
Right.
You think Rory would be like, the wind? No, Rory would be like, let's go out here and do this, man.
Right.
Let's go make this happen.
Everybody's got to compensate for it, though.
All right, I hear you. Have a great time today, you guys. I love these Richardson hats. We have them with some. It's just there's not a better structured hat
Yeah, you're right.
than a Richardson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we get to put these on shelves and keep them in the
Yeah,
studio?
those are yours. Do whatever you want.
Can people go on your website and buy these?
Absolutely.
How much they pay for that? 20 what?
It's 25 or 20. Some of them are on sale. Sometimes they'll go on sale for $20.
Okay.
This is my favorite one. This is the one I wear every day.
Okay. The same price for that one? There's not
Yeah.
like do you do them where you sign it and, hey, guys, the next 10 I'm signing, and those are free?
We've done that before.
Have you?
Yeah.
Give us your best piece of social media advice for business owners, somebody growing their business. Best piece of social media advice, and that'll be the last thing I say.
Be authentic. Be authentic. Don't be fake. Be authentic. Be yourself. Not everything always has to be like so professional. Like when I'm making videos, sometimes like my video team, they'll be like cleaning up stuff in the background. I'm like, leave that there. Let's know I'm real. You know what I mean? Not everything has to be perfect. Just be yourself. Be you. Be authentic.
I think we can say that about you, man. No doubt you are A+ authentic.
Well, I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, man.
Yep. Thank you.
Have an awesome golf day.
Yum, yum. Get you some.